Let's get into it. Coach Colin here. Man, Byron Donalds, he said some stuff about Jim Crow. He didn't say anything about Jim Crow. He's talking about the black family and when they used to have a higher rate of staying together. And that happened to fall under the Jim Crow era. So now, of course, because he is such a Trump supporter, they're twisting his words. And I made a video about this already, but Byron Donalds had to face off against the final boss when it comes to race hustling, Joy Reid. And you know her, she just got the blonde wig activated. She put on that blonde wig so she could feel like Trump, so she could have some mega energy coursing through her, which she'll never have ever, but she has the wig on nonetheless, and she's trying to take Byron Donald to task. This is just a full debacle. It's pure nonsense. And I don't really know what Byron thought was going to happen, but it's just regular Joy Reid. You're not going to be allowed to talk. She's going to be in your face. She's going to say things that you didn't actually say. She's going to cut you off every second. She has a mini meltdown in these clips. And I know I'm asking a lot of everybody when I ask them to sit and listen to Joy Reid a little bit. And I apologize, but I'm not going to make you listen to the whole thing. And I'm going to jump in, and Byron Donalds will get a word in here and there for the most part. And then we're going to move on to a clip where Byron actually goes home. He goes home to where he's appreciated. Fox News. And they actually let him say his piece. So I'm going to show you what happened with him and Joy Reid. And then we're actually going to hear him get to speak full sentences. Absolutely ridiculous. But let's get into it, people.
Was together. During Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative. Black people have always been conservative minded, but black people voted conservatively. But it is that during Jim Crow, the black family was together. That's what people have taken issue with. What are they missing?
Frankly, what's really happened is that you have, Democrats, and you have the Biden campaign, and some of the media want to twist my words for political purposes. The overarching issue is talking just about black families and why you're seeing a trend of black people leaning towards Republicans in this election cycle and probably in election cycles to come. And part of that, is that when you're raising families, raising kids, etc., you're now thinking about all of the public policy issues, all of the economic issues, all of the education issues. And that's leading people to have divergence in political thoughts. That was the only point. The stuff that comes up about Jim Crow and twisting my words, saying I was being nostalgic or saying that Jim Crow was good for black people, that's all political spin. It's a lie. It's gaslighting. And that's truly unfortunate.
So here's the challenge, Congressman. You started out talking about your family, talking about your mom, talking about being raised, and you on your own brought up Jim Crow. In fact, you said Jim Crow 3 times for emphasis. It wasn't the media or the Democrats or gaslighters who brought up Jim Crow. It was you. You brought up Jim Crow. So why did you use Jim Crow specifically as your reference? You did that. No one else did that. You did it.
Oh, I did. We were having a conversation, just talking as, black people in Philadelphia. But if you're going to use the chronological timeline of America before the Great Society and Lyndon Johnson's time period, you had, unfortunately, the Jim Crow era in America. During that time period, the marriage rates of black Americans was significantly higher than any other time since then in American history. So it is a divergence if you're talking about marriage rates in the black community. They have plummeted. And what we've seen recently in America, which is a very good thing we should all celebrate, is that the marriage rates in the black community are rising again. That's good for black families. That's definitely good for black children. It's something I want to see. I'm quite sure you want to see it as well.
Okay, let's talk about that. Jim Crow lasted roughly from 1867 after the Civil War to 1968. Is there a specific period between 1867 and 1968 that you thought was this golden era for black families, or a time that was good for black families?
Joy, I never said that. And see, this is where the gaslighting comes in.
I'm going to read what you said.
All I was talking about was the marriage rates.
Stop. No,
Joy,
that's not what you said. Let's play what you said. Play what he said. Play what he said.
Families. You're saying I said it was the golden era. I never said that.
I'm going to play what you said.
I said that it was better for black families. I never said that. I
play what he said.
Play what I said.
Play what he said.
during Jim Crow, the black family was together. That's right. During Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative, because black people always have been conservative-minded, but more black people voted conservatively. And then HEW, Lyndon Johnson, and then you go down that road, and now we are where we are.
Okay, so now I'm going to go back. You said during Jim Crow, the black family was together. What was the authority of the black father in the black family during Jim Crow?
Well, listen, under Jim Crow, obviously, black people were under great persecution, unfortunately, by Southern Democrats and the Democrat Party overall in the history of our country. That's the fact. And so, well, let me finish now, Joy. And so having the black man in the home was about first protecting the mom and protecting the kids. Incredibly important. It was the leadership in the home, which is incredibly valuable. And I think what we're witnessing, obviously, the last 30 years, definitely through my generation, is black fathers being at home is incredibly important for the success of black children going forward. And it's not just a black thing, that's everybody. Fathers in home help to breed success for kids moving forward. That is a great thing for our country. That's something that has been proven throughout time. So what I'm talking about is not the golden era of Jim Crow. That's ridiculous. I would never say that. And that is the gaslighting that I'm standing up to, because that's what Hakeem Jeffries, the Biden campaign, Jamie Harrison, and the like are trying to bring up. And unfortunately, the media has followed suit with misleading headlines, and that's wrong.
Now I'm going to talk. Do I have a chance? Good.
No, I'm not going to put you guys through that. You don't get a chance to talk, Joy. You just sit there, mouth hanging open. We're good there. But seems like some good points from Byron Donalds. You know what I mean? I talked about this already. These are all good points. That is what a father, regardless of race, is meant to do. They're meant to be there to be a pillar. They're meant to be, consoling at times. Sometimes there's only things that a father can help console. Somebody beats you up. Father has to have that talk with you about, listen, I'm sorry it's happened, but I need you. We're going to have to teach you how to fight. He sits and teaches them how to fight, shows them how to throw a ball, shows them how to do all these things, teaches them about integrity, teaches him how to speak to his mother and how not to speak to his mother, disciplines him if need be. There's so why does this even have to be? This is why the way she does things, the way she operates is so dishonest, because she has to know she had a father. I don't know, but she knows what a father is meant to be in a family. She knows whether it's a black family or a white family. She understands that. But I'm telling you, the left has a concerted effort to remove fathers from family units. They've been doing it since the time he was talking about. When it got into the late 50s, 60s, 70s, this was done by Democrats because it benefited them the most. It really did, because it gave them the black vote forever. It was exactly when this whole thing started of like, well, why are you a Democrat? I don't know. You ask random people of color, why are you a Democrat? It's when the brainwashing started. And if you can remove a father, you can weaken a family unit. And if you can weaken a family unit, you can compel them to do what you need them to do. Without a father there, a mother, maybe she doesn't work. Maybe all of a sudden now she has to work. At some point in her life now, she has to depend on the state. A father is removed. Maybe he starts doing things he's not supposed to do. Maybe he gets arrested, which is something that used to happen quite a lot back then and still does. And now all of a sudden he's dependent on the state, sometimes even held captive by the state because he's in jail because he broke the law. But when the family comes together and a father's there and he understands, I can't go to jail because I got to take care of this wife, these kids. I have to stay on the up and up. I have to work hard. My family comes together. We all eat together. We all speak together. I teach them about God. And now all of a sudden, God is above everything. And now when the state comes in and says, you have to do X, Y, Z because we say so, you go, no, there's something actually above both of us. We listen to God first. This goes against the word of God. We're not going to be doing that. That's why it's always God, nation, God, family, nation. That's why people who have religious faith are always the most dangerous. because those are the people who will say, well, let me consult with God before I listen to you. And that's a bad thing. When you're the state and you're trying to guide people, make them vote the way you want them to vote, make them do the things you want them to do, that's a very bad situation to be in, where people are consulting God before they're consulting you. But that aside, it weakens the family. She knows that. She knows that 100%. Now, this is what she goes on to try and do. She brings up this terrible story of a boy who got lynched. It was a terrible circumstance. It happened because of Jim Crow, but even more so, it happened because these men were racist and they wanted the boy of the family, and the father couldn't protect the boy. And Joy, instead of looking at that like it's some horrible thing that happened, she looks at it as some gotcha moment that she's using on Byron Donalds to actually insinuate, well, why are you saying the father is necessary to be there? This father couldn't protect his son. It's disgusting what she chooses to do in this clip right here. Listen to this.
Of the Suwannee River, bound Willie's hands and feet, stood him at the edge of the water, and told him to either jump or be shot. Willie jumped into the cold water below and drowned while his father was forced to watch at gunpoint. Willie's dead body was pulled from the river the next day. You said that during the Jim Crow era, the importance of having a black man in the home was to protect his family and to protect his wife. I actually spoke with somebody who lived through Jim Crow. Her name is Merle Evers Williams. And Merle quoted to me a man named Charles Silverman, who wrote in Crisis in Black and White, that in 1890, the year that the Mississippi Constitution was written, the policy of crushing out the manhood of the Negro citizens was to be carried out with success. So the man in the home during Jim Crow had no rights, could not protect his wife from rape, could not protect his son from lynching. So again, why would you quote that era and say that at that time, the family all being in the home together was something we should think of as a good thing?
Well, first of all, Joy, the story you bring up and you're bringing up is a tragedy, one of the great tragedies of the Jim Crow era.
I'm asking
this is
why
those policies were disgusting and distasteful. All I was talking about, Joy, was the benefit
of a man in the family. Again, sir, I'm sorry,
Joy,
I let you talk for a long time. Sorry, talk over you. You've gotten a chance to speak a lot, Congressman. You're going to answer my question now and not filibuster. This is the question you want. This is the question you need to answer.
That's what I'm trying to answer. That's what I'm trying to answer, Joy.
Give me a second. Take a breath. Take a breath. If a black man could not protect... It's my show. If a black man, a black father, could not protect his wife, his son, or himself from lynching and violence, how is him being in the home mean that that is an era that was better for the black family, or that we should think of as a good thing?
First of all, Joy, I never said that it was better for black people in Jim Crow. I have never said that, and even my own words say that. If you're talking about the importance of black fathers in the home, or frankly, all fathers in the home, it is always for the betterment of children, to have leadership, yes, for safety. So having two people in the home to help provide the economic needs for those children so the family can succeed. That is a wonderful thing. We should always get back to that, not to Jim Crow. And this is the point of the gaslighting and the lying that is occurring with what I said. Don't try to impose the fact that the marriage rates were better in the higher, I want to be clear, higher in the Jim Crow era to mean that I think Jim Crow is great. That is a lie. That is gaslighting. I would never say such a thing, which is why the Jim Crow era was destructive of black people.
You brought it up. You're the one who brought it up.
That is how this segment ends. That is how it ends. That is how she was like, this is how it should end. With him not getting to talk, me misquoting him. She literally said at the end, you quoted Jim Crow. Doesn't even make any sense. He didn't quote Jim Crow. Like he's an old racist white man sitting on a tower like, blacks, Absolutely ridiculous. I cannot believe it. And just to say the one thing that she said at the end, again, she doesn't say that it's a horrible thing, because that's a terrible thing. That story that she tells, Terrible. She doesn't regard it as terrible. She doesn't say it's this disgusting thing. There's no somber in her voice. There's no emotion there. It's just, this is the thing I'm going to use to get you. And her actual mindset is that, how is having a man around or in the house a good thing, based on the fact that one father had to go through a dramatically traumatic event in a terrible time? It's bewildering to me. I was going to say how she has a show, but it makes sense. This is what MSNBC wants. They want somebody who's going to cause division. They want somebody who's going to tell a story like this and make black people feel like, wow, we had it so bad and those white people did us so wrong. And wow, you know what? Actually, you know, I can't vote for Trump. It's all just about division. It's such a terrible thing that she just did. And it doesn't even register to her. She's like, no, this is just what we do. What do you mean? I just bring up a story about lynching and it's fine. Like, whatever. It got Byron. Got him. I told him. Absolutely crazy that she did this. And again, having a father around no matter what, just because one father went through something terrible and he couldn't defend his son and wanted to, but also probably wanted to be there for his wife, maybe had other kids, knew he couldn't sacrifice himself because then the other kids and the mother would be stranded. It's a terrible situation. But just to take that one example and be like, see, what does it matter if a man's there? Why are you bringing that up? See, that's what happened in Jim Crow. Are you crazy? So crazy. Oh, she's unbelievable. I'm so sorry that I discovered this lady. Like, I didn't know about her before. Just like a year ago, I didn't know who she was. This is terrible, man. But Byron Donalds does get to speak his piece a little more while he's on Fox News. Here you go.
I know you disagree with what Joy Reid was saying on MSNBC. What were you trying to say then?
First of all, what we're talking about in Philadelphia a couple days ago was the importance of black families and united black families, growing black families in the United States. That's very, very important. The empirical fact is that Lyndon Johnson's policies, the Great Society, and other issues led to a massive decline in the marriage rate in black America. That is an empirical fact. The problem that the Democrats want to create, and this is a creation on their part, is that because I said Jim Crow, they think I'm talking about some golden era. What's important here in this entire phony controversy is that Joe Biden, his campaign, Democrat leadership, and the terrible press want to make an issue. They want to gaslight black people in this country. They want to make black people think in America that Republicans look at Jim Crow as it was some great time in American history. That is not true. They are gaslighting. They're lying. And so, Bill, to be blunt with you, I'm not going to be intimidated. I'm not going to go and do an apology tour. I'm going to stand up to them in the foolishness that they're trying to concoct, because what they want to see happen is black people, quote unquote, stay voting for Democrats, and they will use race, they will gaslight, they will lie, they will twist words for that to be accomplished. But I'm not going to let them twist my words. I'm going to stand up to them.
Democrat Hakeem Jeffries called it outlandish and outrageous. He went on to say, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself. Back to the MSNBC interview. Watch here.
You are in an interracial marriage. Your wife is a white conservative activist. Could your family have existed at all during Jim Crow?
No, it could not, Joy, and we all know that. But that's why I am blessed to live in America today as opposed to America during that time. But we cannot ignore the realities of not having fathers in homes. That is important for black people today and all people today as we move forward for a better America.
Seems to be a significant point, and it seems to draft off what you were pushing toward during the event you mentioned there a moment ago about President Johnson's policies that were signed into law. You believe fundamentally that it was those policies in the mid-1960s that led African Americans down a worse road.
Well, Bill, let's be clear. It's not about belief. It's the empirical fact. The marriage rate in Black America declined rapidly after the passage of a lot of the Great Society policies. So it was destructive. But let's talk about Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem Jeffries saw a headline from the Biden administration and went to the House floor. He was wrong. And so, look, I'm not going to stand here and listen to Hakeem Jeffries lecture me when the truth of the matter is, if you want to talk about Jim Crow was Democrat Party policies that led to the disenfranchisement, frankly, the terror against Black people in America. That's one of the reasons why Black people during that time period were voting much more conservatively and have always been conservative minded. That's the overall point, if we're going to be technical about the history. But like I said, they don't want to be technical. They want to gaslight, they want to twist, they want to lie. And so I'm not going to let them get away with that. I'm going to stand up to it. I'm going to stand firm on what I said, because if you're going to talk about families, family structure, and dads being in homes with their wives, raising kids is good for Black America, and it's good for all America.
And we're going to see what.
Oh, couldn't agree more, man. Can't believe that he actually sat down with Joy Reid. I could not imagine doing that. If I ever get to the point where I am known enough to have that happen, just know if you see me on that screen, I'm dreading every single moment of it. Absolutely crazy. She did gaslight. She was twisting his words. The media's doing it in just all together, lockstep. All of them together are doing it. Even that guy Jeffries, Hakeem Jeffries, they're all doing it together. Funny how it's Democrat, left-leaning media, left-leaning articles, all against one guy who said something about how things were during an era, not how things were because of an era, and they've twisted his words, and that guy just happens to be very connected to the Trump campaign. Just a coincidence, I'm sure. Just like these cases all coming up right around election time. Just the fact that Donald Trump is being seen as a criminal throughout the whole election cycle. Just all a coincidence. The judge being a Democrat, the city being very Democratic, the DA, it's just all the jurors. Oh, it's all just a big coincidence. This is a massive coincidence. You know that, right? The stars are aligning so well, so quickly. It's amazing. It's amazing. I've never seen anything like this. It's almost like someone has control over the stars and they're just lining them all up exactly the way they need to be lined up. Well, either way, I'm glad that Donald gets to stand up for himself, because he really needs to. He really needs to. No apology tour. No apologies necessary. He's 100% right. Black families used to stay together, and they were very strong. And any family that stays together is very strong. And a strong family, when you times that by 1,000, that makes a strong community. And a strong community ends up making a strong state. A strong state ends up, if you multiply that, makes a strong country. But when you're strong in that way, you can't just be guided whichever way the Democrats want to push you. And that's why this happened. They needed those people eroded. And now, if you look at the landscape, they want it for everybody. It's not just Black people anymore that they're after. They want everybody to be eroded in that way. They want the nuclear family to just go away, because they want to have people in a situation where at some point they're going to have to depend on the state. And the more they have to depend on the state, the more they have to depend on the government, the more the government can coerce them into doing whatever it is that they want them to do. It's very basic, man. I've made episodes about it. I'm not going to get too deep into it right now, but Joy Reid, ladies and gentlemen, gets fiery when she has that Trump wig on. It is a Trump wig, right? I wonder if she bought that at like one of those like Halloween stores, one of those party stores. I wonder. I should get one too. You guys want to see me in one? Anyways, guys, like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. It helps the channel tremendously. You have no idea. And other than that, I'm out.